2018. It's been a roller coaster ride of cinema, both good and bad. Creative bars were raised, but with it also came great loss. Join me as I discuss the movies from this year worth mentioning and crown my favourite. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Matt Rogers, and this is the best and worst movies of 2018. So I've come up with some categories to help organise my picks from all the different genres, my own little Oscars, if you will. The categories are Big Hype, Total Shite, Best Sleeper Hit, Best Popcorn Flick, Best Worst Movie, Worst Movie, and of course, Best Movie. So let's get these awards underway. The Big Hype Total Shite Award goes to the movie that was looked forward to by many, hyped with enticing trailers and a promising premise, but follows through with none of the above. This year, the Big Hype Total Shite Award goes to The Nun by director Corin Hardy. Now, you horror fans would understand what a fan favourite Valak the Nun was in the second Conjuring, and viewers were craving a backstory. There were rumours for a long while, and then came an official poster and trailer. Many weren't fans of the other Conjuring spin-off Annabelle, and fans thought this would be a return to the horrific universe that director James Wan created in the original Conjuring movies. But that is far from what we got. We got a lackluster suggestion of what a horror should be. It relied almost completely on jump scares and other overused horror mechanics, leaving you not even close to scared, and it had me genuinely bored in the cinema waiting for it to finish. It was such a great concept too, wasted on such a terrible story with awful direction. But let's look at the other side of the coin, a movie that was hardly hyped but rose above all expectations. This year's Best Sleeper Hit goes to 8th Grade by director Bo Burnham. I love a good indie movie, but seldom does a movie with this low of a backing and budget hit you so close to home. It proves that all you need for a good movie is a good story with good storytelling. 8th Grade follows the story of Kayla Day, expertly played by actress Elsie Fisher, and her struggle with her confidence and awkwardness around others on the verge of high school. What makes 8th Grade different is not really much happens in regards to plot. I could probably wrap up the whole movie in just a couple of sentences. However, Kayla's reality is all the story you need, and you feel every emotion simultaneously alongside her, whether it's just her navigating a normal school day or the cringe of watching her trying to impress those she looks up to. 8th Grade would not have worked as a high-budget Hollywood drama, as the film's charm comes from its simplicity and most of all its relatability. Moving on now to Best Popcorn Flick. Now, this award goes to a film that is not necessarily going to win any Oscars for Best Film or Best Performances, but it's just genuinely fun to watch. This year, the award goes to Game Night by directors John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein. This movie came out of nowhere, and at first it just looks like another Jason Bateman comedy to get lost amongst the inevitable forgettable comedies sprinkled throughout the year. But Game Night is one worth your time. It's funny, it's unpredictable, it has loads of twists along the way, but my favourite parts were the incredible synth soundtrack by Cliff Martinez, and the beautiful cinematography by Barry Peterson. Wide shots like this make it look like the movie takes place in a small-scale board game and transitions seamlessly to shots that are to scale. Jason Bateman is notorious for playing the voice of reason in every comedy he steps foot in, but ever since his Netflix show Ozark, I have a newfound respect for the man, and he did a great job here too. The only gripe I have with this movie is Rachel McAdams' comedy acting seems forced, and her character shouldn't have had jokes, but it's not bad enough to spoil the chemistry between her and Bateman. The amount of twists the movie has by the end is a bit ridiculous, but it's self-aware, so it can be forgiven. But Game Night is easily one of my favourite movies of the year. Next up, we have the Best Worst Movie, a movie that is critically terrible and has no real redeeming aspects, but still manages to be enjoyable. The Best Worst Movie of 2018 goes to Happy Time Murders by director Brian Henson. Starring comedy favourite Melissa McCarthy amongst a world of X-rated Muppets, we meet Phil Phillips, a disgraced ex-cop who is further shunned due to the film's theme on racism against puppets. Phil is brought back in to help solve a suspicious string of deaths that all seem to be somehow related to the fictional children's show, The Happy Time Gang. This movie was heavily critiqued for its reliance on children's puppets saying and doing adult things to be funny, but despite all that, I was laughing the whole time. Funnily enough, the producers of Sesame Street tried to prevent Happy Time Murders from using the tagline "No Sesame, All Street," but obviously failed. It's not going to win any awards, but I thought it was creative how they crafted a world that had Muppets living alongside humans in modern day America. Plus, Melissa McCarthy is always good value. Now, keeping with the category of worst movies, now only worse. The worst movie of the year, without a doubt, goes to Netflix's Open House by directors Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote. Now, I won't go into too much detail as I've done a full review already on this movie, but in recent times I can't remember a movie that was done this badly. Open House stars Dylan Minnette from 13 Reasons Why and is about him and his mother moving into a new house with some kooky neighbours after the death of Minnette's father. The strangest thing about this movie is the amount of mystery and story that is set up to literally lead nowhere. The old lady who lives next door seems like she has a story to tell, and the same goes for the mother's new boyfriend. I'm going to spoil the ending of the movie now, so skip forward a little bit if you're going to watch it, not that I'd bother. But not only do these character stories not mean anything, but also everyone dies in the end by the hands of a still unknown killer. It makes no sense. But enough about the bad, let's talk about the greats. But before I announce my favourite movie of the year, here's a few honourable mentions. Halloween. This sequel to the original horror classic was so much more than any of the original sequels hoped to be. It was scary, violent, and made me wish for the return of the slasher genre. Searching. Probably not a movie you've heard about, but Searching is about a father whose daughter goes missing and he has to follow her digital trail to discover what happened to her. Movies that are shot entirely on a computer screen usually aren't that great, but this style of filmmaking is perfect for what the producers were trying to achieve here. Well worth a watch. A Simple Favour. I expected nothing from this movie. It looked like a Gone Girl fanfiction, but similar to my reasons for liking Game Night, it was just a lot of fun. Based on a novel by Darcy Bell, I fell head over heels in love with Blake Lively. Her character in this is so good, and her fashion even better. Lively said her iconic look for the role was inspired by Paul Feig, who directs the movie, and boy does she look good in a suit. But enough runners up, it's now time for me to crown 2018's best movie. This was not easy. As you all know, it's tough to compare different genres and styles. I tried to be both objective and subjective, and I ended up coming up with one title. My pick for best movie of 2018 is Hereditary by director Ari Aster. Hereditary is an absolute masterclass in not only horror, but drama, suspense, and mystery. We meet Toni Collette's character after the loss of her mother, whom she felt disconnected from due to never wanting to be part of her obscure personal life. I'm not going to say much more about the story than that, because if you haven't seen it, then you simply must, and I don't want to ruin anything for you. All I will say is that Colette's acting in this film is nothing but Oscar-worthy, and there is one tragic scene in particular which her reaction to is gut-wrenching. I can't remember a movie making me feel how this movie did, and it wrecked any scary movies I watched afterwards, as none even came close. It's taken a lot more seriously than your average horror, and rightly so with the themes that are focused on throughout. And my proof of how well it builds tension is that there are even jump scares in the movie that have no audio at all, but you're so invested that it scares you just with visuals alone. I couldn't get this movie out of my head for days after seeing it, and I can't recommend it enough. It's definitely not for the faint-hearted though, so you've been warned. Well, that may be 2018, but I don't know about you, but I'm excited for a lot of new movies next year. Like the standalone Joker movie, which is the long-awaited departure from the DC universe, thank God. It's so hard being a DC fan these days. There's the new Godzilla, It Chapter 2, the animated Addams Family movie, which should have been directed by Tim Burton, but his adaptation fell through. Luckily, we're getting a film from him with a live-action Dumbo. It's definitely going to be the year for live-action Disney, with also Aladdin and of course The Lion King, which looks great and all, but I still don't get the point of reanimating it just with better technology. Still a lot to look forward to, and I want to thank you guys for joining me in such an amazing year in entertainment. I've had such a great time making videos for you guys throughout the year, and I can't wait to show you what I have in store for next year. But, as always, thanks so much for hanging out. If you had a good time, then spank that like button. And if you subscribed during this video, then welcome aboard. This is Matt Rogers, and that is all.